Hey guys, I'm back for another video, and welcome to Hypixel SkyBlock, and it's time for some tips and tricks. So, welcome back. Hello. It's been a while since I've recorded a video. Hi, today we're going to be covering 21 random tips for getting better at Hypixel SkyBlock across all parts of the game, all levels, all different SkyBlock levels, different islands. Oh, and if you are going to buy anything in the Hypixel store, make sure to use code ThirtyVirus. When you check out, you get 5% off, and I get a kickback. It's a win-win. GG. It definitely, it helps. Trust me, it makes a difference. You should do it. And you save money. Okay, so now that we're through the awkward intro phase, we're gonna do a bit of a cop-out on the first suggestion, and I'm gonna talk about Badlion Client, alright? If you're one of those people that already is set up with mods and you're happy with it, you can skip the next 30 seconds. But otherwise, let's say you have just started playing SkyBlock recently, you don't have all the mods that I do, right? So you look something like, this is what SkyBlock looks like without any of the mods enabled. It's very ugly. Luckily, recently, Badlion fixed their profile sharing system. So if you want to just log in, have everything set up right out the gate, then you can go to profiles, you can go to search. Now the search is a bit wonky. I'm gonna have to talk to them about it, but I did manage to see my own profile. If I go to most recent, I just uploaded this before starting the recording, so it does work for now. I'm gonna try and update this near daily for the next couple days so that people can find it, but I will talk to Badlion because right now if you search, nothing comes up. The only one you see when you go to most popular is, ironically, the most popular profile in Badlion Client is mine, but it's an old version from like a year and a half ago that someone re-uploaded and probably had to reverse engineer. So that's cool. Hopefully by the time that this video's been out for a week, it should be fixed, is my hope. So welcome to the Rift. I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of the back-T fight and how it works. You attack the globules, and once they are killed, I guess, or once their health goes below 0 or at 0, you can launch them places. And that's how you damage the tentacle things to spawn a blobber cyst. But what you might not know is that you can use the globules to actually damage the blobber cyst. So if I were to do that, boom. So I'm saving a good amount of time on the fight. Obviously, that was me demonstrating how to do it, so it was slow. But yeah, it saves a good amount of time on these back-D boss fights. I had to do a few dozen of them to make room in my inventory for all the stupid Slayer drops I was getting. Whatever the drop's called, I don't even remember. Coven Seals. Speaking of the Rift, if we head over to Vampire Slayer, the Prince, I'm sure a lot of you have some questions when it comes to the RNG drops. So in Vampire Slayer, one of the most infamous Slayer bosses in the entire game is a Vamp T5. They're very difficult to kill. I've only managed to do it one time, which may have you questioning, well, if ThirtyVirus can only kill one T5 after killing hundreds of T4s with the max gear in the game, how can he ever hope to get an RNG drop? This is the one enchantment, by the way. It doesn't look like it. It's the bundle. But yes, the one, it's an enchantment that I believe gives you, like, health per completed collection or something, or is that Cayenne? I don't even remember. It's a good enchant. You want to have it. It has something to do with giving you health and I think health regen or something, but there is a cool little strategy because of the way that the RNG meter works. I have my RNG meter set to the 1, and even though it's a drop that can only actually drop from a T5, I can still build the meter by killing T4. So my plan is, and this is what I'd suggest you guys do as well if you want to force the 1 drop, which would probably make a good amount of money too on a normal profile. I'm not sure, I'm an Iron Man player. But if you were to build up the RNG meter by killing T4s until it's at 100%, then kill a single T5, then you will force the 1 book bundle to drop, and then you're guaranteed mega profits. And I'm guaranteed, I guess, more survivability in Blaze Slayer, I suppose. It's realistically the only way to actually get the enchantment yourself. I mean, has anyone actually genuinely dropped the book bundle from a T5 without meter? Probably, but it's, I would imagine, extremely extremely rare. In a previous video, I told you guys about the cool little trick where if you were to put a blue cheese goblin omelet on a second drill, then you could do, for example, in my case here, 3, 4, 3, and you right click when you press 4, then suddenly you have instant mine of divine gold, which is not normal. Essentially, you're stacking the mining speed boost of both drills, right? I talked about this already. I made a dedicated video on it. You should watch. But the upgraded mining speed boost is not only useful for just mine of divine gold mining or obsidian. You could use it on gemstones too. Now, granted, it's not going to instant mine, of course, but one thing that's not oftentimes talked about with the mining speed boost blue goblin egg trick is that you actually have a longer mining speed boost while you are using a blue cheese goblin omelet. As you can see, this is a 25-second ability, whereas if I switch to this one, that's a 20-second ability. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but if you think about it, that's a 25% increase in the duration of your mining speed boost. I would still suggest doing the trick, swapping to a blue cheese omelet drill, even while ruby mining, or obviously you have the jade here, because you'll get 5 extra seconds per mining speed boost, and trust me, those add up over 5 hours of fiesta. Here's one that's fairly obvious, but a lot of people don't know it, so I'm gonna point it out here. Wishing compass. This is a great little item. Sometimes it doesn't quite work the way you'd want it to, and it's because there's special conditions. So for example, the biggest example, let's say you get any of these crystals, right? Let's say I get a topaz crystal because I accidentally clicked on the box where the crystal spawns when I was just trying to kill Bowls to get the pet. Once you've acquired the gems or the crystal, then the wishing compass no longer points to the point of interest, which if I was in the magma fields would be Bowl, of course. So if I were to right click with this right now, I don't have the crystal because I make a point not to have any of the crystals on me for this reason. So there you go. It points towards Bow. That's cool. Once I get the crystal, if I right click and try to do the same thing, doesn't work. Same applies for all the other biomes, but there's other conditions too. For example, in the jungle, if I just walk in and right click, then it's going to point me towards the village. And the reason for that, you'd think it'd send you to the jungle temple, right? But it sends you to the village because the game says, nope, you need a key first. Now, obviously, I have keys. So now that I have a jungle key in my inventory, it seems like it didn't point to a different spot. Now, that can happen. And the reason is that some lobbies don't spawn with all of the structures. This one, I believe, it looks like it probably has a temple but not a village, so probably just pointed to the temple. Yeah, it just pointed to the temple directly, but if there was a village in that lobby, it would point towards the village first. This applies for other biomes too. Let me see. Goblin holdout. I'm not sure about this one. I know there's the king and the queen, and I'm not sure if it ever points towards the king. Maybe it does? It depends if you have eggs in your inventory. There is a wiki page for these, by the way, I will point out. So if you're really curious, then you can go and search that up. But good to know, because sometimes the wishing compass, you don't know what the hell it's pointing at. It'd be nice if it told you in chat, but it doesn't. So if it's not working the way you expect, then check for the special conditions or change lobbies. That's another one. Like Mine of Devon very frequently is just not in Crystal Hollow's lobbies. And at least the compass will tell you that now. They updated it, so it's better. Okay, I was planning on showing this one in the video, but it turns out I don't have one. But anyways, when you're farming on the garden, if a pest shows up and it's in a spot that's hard to reach, like in the middle of your cactus farm, or even worse, like it's coded to spawn at the top of your farms, but unfortunately, Hypixel doesn't know that a carpet is, you know, a solid block. I mean, technically it's not. Anyways, you can't go through them, but it doesn't count as the floor. So your pests are going to spawn underneath carpet, which is really annoying for people that make compact cocoa bean farms. But if you have a Shadow Fury and you use the ability on it, then you can actually teleport right behind the pest. So through the floor, you could just teleport right to the pest and then use your vacuum on it nice and quick. Another thing that I've been doing lately that's been super helpful when farming is I'll have a fishing rod in my inventory and I have 2 auto pet rules set up. One of them, it equips, doesn't matter what the pet is. In my case, it's an ocelot with a farming XP boost 50% on it. And then the other one is your farming pet. In my case, a mushroom cow with green bandana, right? So you have the 2 auto pet rules equipped and you can swap between them, right? Ocelot, mushroom cow. So let's say I've been farming, I spawned 3 visitors, and I want to give some XP to my other pets. I'm using the farming XP to level up my ocelot because I don't have any farming pets left, and this is a lot of untapped XP. And of course, if you want to maximize the XP gain, have a cultivating 10 farming tool in your inventory. There we go. That was 15,000 farming XP. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have 5 visitors and you kill all the pests while you have a pet equipped, this ocelot I got from level like 60 something, which is literally like almost no XP at all because of the way it scales, all the way to level 93 in just like 2 days of farming. And that's completely like passive XP that otherwise I wouldn't have gotten because I would have just had my mushroom cow out while redeeming the visitors. So redeem your visitors, kill your pests while having a pet equipped that's, you know, that needs some XP. Since I've been playing on my account for quite a few hours, I have some pretty sick mage gear. I've got like mana pool, mana regen, equipment. I got an implosion belt, a Hyperion, fully scrolled, storm's armor. And I'm doing like almost 4 million damage a hit to magma cubes, which is cool. Now, the thing is, for someone like me, if you're trying to grind out, let's say, blaze belts, let's say I want a veteran vitality, like a 10-10 blaze belt, the process for grinding that out is what you're seeing right now. I put down an orb, I kill all my blazes, I get a bunch of blaze ashes, I craft blaze belts, right? Nothing too complicated there. The problem is, it takes a lot of effort to get where I am, and you might not necessarily have the damage. You might be doing like maybe half what I'm doing, like 1.5, 1.6 million damage a hit. There is a point where you can stretch your capabilities farther than normal to allow you to kill smoldering blazes, and this is what I did until I got before my equipment existed. So what you could do is, instead of going with full mage gear, you can actually swap out half of it for crimson pieces. Now, I have very specific crimson pieces that I like to use because this has mana pool 3, this has mana pool 2, I'm dying. And once you build up 10 crimson stacks, then you can one-tap smoldering blazes. Now, sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why that happens. Like, sometimes, especially if they're near a wall, sometimes the swipe just doesn't happen. But, you know, 2 right clicks isn't the end of the world. But as you can see, you can reliably kill smoldering blazes, or any mob for that matter. Like, it doesn't have to be smoldering blazes. This is just the most extreme example. If you just need to kill a lot of something and it has too much health for you, try throwing in half crimson. I have it on necrotic as well on the leggings here. If I really wanted to go all out, I can get a mana pool, mana regen, 2 crimson pieces that are that way with necrotic on it and, like, you know, sapphire gemstones. Not necessary. Now that I actually do damage, I don't even need to do this anymore. But if a stronger mob were added to the game, then maybe I'd have incentive to do this again. But yeah, it's a nice little way to eke out just a little bit more damage, because the crimson swipe, it gives you like triple damage basically. You'd think it'd be double, but it's actually more like triple. I don't really know why. I don't know the mechanics of what exactly is happening. I know what a swipe is supposed to do, but that doesn't appear to be what it does sometimes. I don't know, it's weird, but it's cool. Half crimson, half mage setup. Now, I did just mention god rolls there. Now, someone that hasn't played a lot of SkyBlock or isn't as far as I am might not know what a god roll is, so I'm going to quickly show you. A god roll is an item that has attributes that has the exact best attribute combination for that piece of gear. For example, I'm just going to call it the Vanquish set, even though it's not upgraded to Vanquished yet. Magma Necklace, Gas Cloak, Glowstone Gauntlet. This is where Blaze Belt would go, but Implosion Belt's better for Hyperion. For these, if you're playing Mage, it's Mana Pool, Mana Regen is the god roll. But let's say you were doing Slayers. Veteran Vitality is the god roll that you should be trying to get. Let's say you have Terror Armor. According to my guild, the god roll for Terror Armor, I don't have that yet, by the way. I don't play a lot of Kuudra yet. Oh, by the way, when it comes to Slayers, yes, Veteran Vitality is the god roll, but technically, if you're sweaty enough where you don't need vitality, which is ridiculous, like you're so strong you don't need vitality, I don't know. If you're like pretty much maxed out player, you're gonna want Magic Find, Veteran, as your god roll. I personally think that Magic Find is a basically placebo, and by the time I have Blaze 9, I'm never touching the Slayer again. So I don't really care about Magic Find. For those that do, there you go. When it comes to fishing rods, there's 2 god rolls actually. I have them. Fishing Speed Trophy Hunter, obviously for my trophy fishing rod. And then the other one, Double Hook Fishing Speed, and that's for sea creatures. So there you go. Those are the god rolls for that. I didn't talk about Terror yet. Lifeline Mana Pool, there you go. That sounds right. Yeah. So Lifeline Mana Pool, because apparently with Terror Armor, there's various activities in Kuudra that require mana and more health when you're, or more defense when your health is low. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really play a lot of Kuudra. I'm working off guild here, but they tend to know what they're talking about with Kuudra especially. So there you go. Also, if you're gonna go out of your way to make god rolls, let's say you kill like a bajillion million of these stupid magma cube riders like I have. I mean, seriously, look at the bestiary for these mobs. It's like actually gross. Smoldering Blazes I've killed nearly 62,000 of. Ghasts I've killed 12,500. Magma Cube Riders, 71,500. I've killed a good bit of these. Let's say you've killed enough that you can craft like a bunch of magma necklaces, right? With all the magma chunks you've acquired. The thing with that, you might notice that none of my equipment's vanquished. Now, the reason for that is that as of recording this video, the game is dumb and it doesn't recognize that a magma necklace and a vanquished magma necklace are the same piece of equipment. So you can't transfer attributes or fuse attributes between the tiers of item. You'd have to get another god roll and then upgrade it. Let's say if I upgraded this to vanquished, in order to get it to 9-9, I would have to get a second 8-8 vanquished magma necklace, which is a pain. So if you don't want to go through pain, then I would wait it out. You know, try to get your attribute tiers to a place that you like. I'm probably comfortable with 8-8 for this, 6-6 for this, and probably 9-9 for this. And then I'm not going to bother with it anymore because it's really not worth my time. But yeah, be careful when upgrading your stuff. Same goes for the rods. I could have an Inferno rod if I wanted, but I still have a Magma rod because the second I upgrade it, the attributes no longer confuse, and it's really annoying. I hope they fix that soon. Oh, and one other thing that I kind of discovered on my own, which is sick, again with attributes, is that let's say you're trying to go for Veteran Vitality like I did, right? A lot of the equipment you get is not going to have Veteran Vitality. You're probably going to get a bunch of pieces with Mana Pool and Mana Regen, right? So I figured, you know what? Why trash the extra equipment when I could just simultaneously work on a Mana Pool Mana Regen set? And I also, this might be stupidly, to be honest, but I also have dominant speed equipment that I'm working on. I don't really see the speed being all that helpful beyond having like one piece with speed 5. I mean, I don't know. With a Warden helmet, I guess. I mean, even now I'm missing 40 speed. So who knows, but dominance is still good, I guess, for various reasons. But really, this was just for fun. I mean, it's either this or I NPC sell it, so might as well, right? Try to work on multiple god rolls at the same time. Here's my Blaze Belt, Mana Pool 7, Mana Regen 7, because this is all overflow from trying to get a Veteran Vitality 8-8 piece of equipment. Yeah, try to go for multiple at once. I only throw out equipment if you absolutely have to. Like, if it's like Ender Resistance, Undead Resistance, like, yeah, that's garbage. There's nothing you could do with that. There's no saving it. This one's kind of obvious, but I would like to point it out anyways. We're back to the RNG meter. Hello, Maddox. One thing that would be a good idea, in my opinion, is if you were to get all of the drops in a Slayer, let's say Sven. It's pretty easy to get all the drops in Sven fairly early, way before level 9. Just save up that Slayer XP for the meter. Don't bother putting in the hamster wheels or foul flesh or whatever, because honestly those drops are barely worth it when that valuable RNG meter could be useful in the future. Let's say they add a Sven T5 and you have like 2 million XP in the meter. You could just instantly drop like some new item that's probably worth a stupid amount of money. Same goes for any of the Slayers, really. I mean, I doubt they're gonna make a T5 Blaze or Enderman, but you get my point. And when they add more Slayers in the future, keep this in mind. Once you actually drop everything, that meter's still useful. Don't waste it. A lot of these suggestions are don'ts. Like, these are things you should not do. For example, don't re-roll a dungeon chest instantly. This is an interesting one. I was not aware of this until my guild brought it up, and it does make sense. Let's say you have a session in dungeons, right? And apparently, Kismet Feathers, re-rolling, all of that. You could do that after the fact in Croesus. I've known that. So let's say you have an entire dungeon session where you just don't get the stuff in the chests or re-roll or anything, and then you max this guy out. I think it's 40 runs. And then after 40 runs, you've built up your RNG meter, the whole 40 runs. And then here is when you open all the chests after the fact, where you have a higher RNG meter, which means higher chance to get the drop you want, if that makes sense. Because if you're doing one run at a time and you're just getting the loot chest, then you're rolling the odds for that reroll with your current RNG meter, right? But if you wait until Croesus to reroll, then your RNG meter would be higher because you just finished your session, if that makes sense. Here's another don't. This is one I especially regret because I can't go back. Make sure if you plan on crafting a ton of equipment for god rolls, be aware of the fact that certain attributes are unlocked at certain levels of Kuudra. In my case, I should have stopped at T3. Doing T4 and T5 Kuudra opened up the door to like fortuitous and other attributes that are just garbage. And it dilutes the pool of possible attributes and makes it more rare to get the ones you want. So honestly, had I not done that, had I just, you know, stopped at T3 Kuudra instead of blasting all the way through to Infernal, I probably would have gotten where I am like 25% faster if I had to just throw a number out there. Like, every time I craft a piece of equipment now, the possible attributes that it has is diluted, which is annoying. Now, some attributes you have to go to T5 Kuudra. For example, Magic Find, I believe. It's either T4 or T5, I don't know. But just be careful. If you're gonna craft a billion blaze belts, don't do it once. Do it before you get to T5 Kuudra, so you don't waste your time and resources. You know, if I had this better planned, I could have made a 21 things not to do in a Hypixel SkyBlock video, but here we are. When it comes to buying Kuudra keys, is this the right person? Yeah. You might notice that it costs the same amount of nether stars either way. Like, a Kuudra key and an infernal Kuudra key costs the same number of nether stars. And they're a pretty rare resource. Now, if you're going to be grinding for god roll equipment, you'll have plenty, trust me. I mean, yeah. For normal people, nether stars are not that common. You're gonna have max like a few hundred of them at a time. So you'd probably, it wouldn't be the best idea. You should definitely never buy these two because you can drop them from the Crimson Isle mini bosses. T3s, it would make sense to buy a few of these, maybe a dozen or two, but that's it. If you're gonna do hundreds of Kuudras, you should probably save your nether stars for the highest tier that you can manage. Ideally Infernal, but of course you have to get to Infernal, which means you probably have to have decent stats and attributes, so you're going to be forced to buy some keys that are lower tier. But just don't go nuts with it. Don't get like 1,000 T3 Kuudra keys. That would be dumb. I wouldn't even say more than 100 in total ever. Shouldn't do more than that for T3s. Back to dungeons again. Another one that is fairly obvious, but I want to point it out. If we go to collections, boss collections, I would not grind directly for these in regular dungeons, like floors 1 through 7, except for this one. Floor 7, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. You want Diamond Head for Master Mode. But for all the other floors, if you're going to be grinding, you know, floor completions, you might as well wait until Master Mode. Just focus on drops and Kata XP. Like, this is a Master Mode player's game because you get double credit. So, like, you'd complete it twice as fast. You'd only have to do 500 M1s instead of 1,000 floor ones. So you'd be saving a ton of time if you intend on maxing the game out. Even if you were to try and actually do the boss collections like when the game intended for you to do it, a lot of the rewards are just really underwhelming and things that you would have gotten already by then. Like, do you really think you're not gonna have an adaptive blade after 150 scarves? Like, really? Like, the recoms are nice. Like, I don't know, man. Like a spirit short bow. After 150 thorns, not a single spirit short bow. It's dumb. So yeah, I would just wait until master mode for floor completions, boss collections, whatever you want to call it. Here's another one. I'm just gonna yap for a little bit. There's been this strategy popping up recently that I've seen. Apparently, if you get one of these, that's 50 out of 50, which is really rare, by the way. This one's plus 34. But if you were to get a 50 out of 50 obtained in like M5 to M7 or whatever, this chest plate, when fully maxed out, is comparable, slightly worse, but comparable in damage to a Necron chest plate, with the added bonus that you never run out of arrows. So if you're someone that, like me, that consistently forgets to buy arrows and then mid-run just runs out and is left being just a weaker berserker, yeah, it's nice. Having infinite ammo as an archer with a term for M7 runs and just not having to worry about arrows is nice. It's something a lot of people have been doing. And honestly, like, Skeleton Master Chestplate, I mean, I'm sure the effective health is not even close to Necron, but if you have a decent cata level, it might just be a good chestplate to have if you're, like, poor and can't afford, like, a good chestplate. Speaking of the museum, there's some items that are soulbound that don't have a spot in here, and you can't put them in chests, so you're either forced to chuck them, or you can do what I'm doing and put them in the personal vault. There's a few items like this, like some mementos, like great spook potions. What am I gonna do with these? I can't put them in a chest. Kuudra chunk, the Kuudra mandible hunt items, like a whole bunch of stuff that's soulbound, and there's no spot for it. Can't put it in a chest. Like, so I don't know. I'm kind of a hoarder in video games, even for things that don't really matter. But a lot of people consistently forget that the personal vault's a thing. So might as well fill it with a bunch of that garbage that you don't want to get rid of. I'm going to have to do another yapping session here because I can't show it because I don't have it. There's a strategy in Kuudra that a lot of people use. And also, this can work on a lot of things. Magma Boss comes to mind. Swapping between two Terminators, one of which with Fatal Tempo, the other with Duplex. Now, the thing about Fatal Tempo, yeah, I know, ThirtyVirus talking about Fatal Tempo. I'm aware, I skipped one. Get over it. Anyway, Fatal Tempo gives you ferocity, right? So if you shoot an arrow with a Fatal Tempo bow and then swap to a Duplex bow, you still get the ferocity from the previous bow, but with the added damage per shot of Duplex. So you're combining the two ultimate enchantments effectively. Granted, this strategy is stupid expensive, and there's a reason I left it for the end of the video, because you need two Terminators. That's literally like 2 billion coins just to do more damage. Kind of wild. I'm planning on doing this at some point. I have the cores already. I already have 2 cores in addition to my hasty Terminator. And that one's going to become like Soul Eater eventually. I'll have 3 if all goes according to plan. But anyways, that's a thing you could do. So, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And make sure, again, to use code 30virus if you can in the Hypixel store. But for now, I guess that's it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.